Hello everyone, my name is Ashish. I'm a junior doctor working in the UK and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we'll be talking about something interesting. I'll be answering some questions which have been asked multiple times on my Instagram page, and the questions revolved around the topic of computer sciences, and they usually involve how I got into computer sciences, what topics did I learn from computer sciences, and how should you do that if you want to go into learning these topics, and is it worth it or not? If you want to see more of such videos, then click on the like button, share this video as much as possible, and subscribe to this channel. Let's start. So this is an interesting story. It was 2018 and this was the end period of my medical college. I was an intern. And I remember sitting one evening with one of my friends in college, and his name is Varad. He is one of my juniors and he's from the same city where I come from. And he used to live in the next room in the same hostel where I used to live. So I was in his room on one of the evenings, and I was just discussing some statistics and talking about something random which I read about computers and artificial intelligence, and he recommended me that I can learn a language which is called R, and I was really quite interested into computer sciences because I had learned some C and C++ during my school times, and I remember that I was really interested in computer sciences. I used to teach my little sister about hexadecimals and binary. So I was really interested in learning R, and then I randomly picked this book. I just went to Google, searched for the best books which are available to learn R, and I came across this book. And this book is called R for Data Science, and this is a book by O'Reilly. A very interesting cover. I think this is one of the reasons why I just picked this book. And I started reading this book, and I think I finished this book in like 2 days. I used to go to the library from the morning, sat there till like the night, and finished this book in 2 days. And it was really interesting to read because I was familiar with a few concepts, because a lot of computer languages have very similar fundamentals. They are around variable, constants, different kind of loops, for loops, while loops, and conditionals like if, else, and other things like that. And I was a bit familiar with all these concepts because I had done some C and C++ during my school time. But this was a good refresher, and I really found this book an interesting one. And this covered R in a very good detail for a beginner. What happened after this is that I got really busy with my PLAB 1 and PLAB 2. I passed both of them, applied for jobs, got an F2 position, and I started in TNO. And one night I was just sitting on the web, just surfing around looking for some statistics and data science courses, and I got interested in a really good course which is by Imperial College London, and it was on Coursera, and this course was called Linear Regression in R. And because I knew a bit of R, so I started doing this course. So when I finished this course, I was like, oh, I need to learn more of this, and I realized that I was really interested in learning about computer science. So I went to Google and I looked for the most popular languages which one should learn as a beginner, and the top choice was Python. So I was like, okay, I'll start learning Python. So I went to two of these websites. I went to DataCamp, I went to Coursera, and then I also went to Code Academy, Udemy. These are like really amazing websites, and they teach a beginner from basics. So I learned Python from all these websites. Then I read this book called Head First Python, and this is an amazing book. It says it's a brain-friendly guide, and yes, it is a brain-friendly guide. It teaches you Python in a very good way from the basics. I also learned this book called Learn Python the Hard Way, and this is an amazing book as well. And then there are some other websites such as edX, which I considered, but that was a bit in the end. So my main sources were the top 4 websites and these 2 books. In 2020, I was really interested in artificial intelligence because a lot of people who learned Python were going into artificial intelligence, and I used to see a lot of people talking about artificial intelligence on the internet, and I was really curious, what is it? So I went to Coursera, started doing some courses on AI. Then I found an amazing website which is called fast.ai, and it's a really amazing website for beginners who want to deep dive into artificial intelligence. Then I went to Code Academy, Data Camp, which are really amazing websites for AI. Then I came across this book, and this is called Introduction to Machine Learning with Python, and again a very interesting cover. I think that's why I picked this book, and it's a really interesting book to read. And the next one was Deep Learning Specialization. Now this specialization is on Coursera, and it's extremely difficult. So if you're new to artificial intelligence, I won't recommend you checking this out. But if you have learned the fundamentals of artificial intelligence, then you should definitely go for deep learning specialization. This specialization requires a lot of mathematics, and you need to know vectors, sets, calculus to learn AI in this specialization. So if you are someone who's an intermediate level AI learner, then you can go for the specialization. It's a really good one on Coursera. After that, in 2021, I got more into learning about Python. I learned the basics like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib. And what are they? These are some libraries. So what people in computer science do, if they have some code which they think that is very essential and it can be used by a lot of people, they just make libraries out of it so that new programmers won't have to write this code from scratch again, and they can just import these libraries and they can use all the functions and functionalities which are in the libraries. So these are quite handy really. So I went for NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, and then I went for some which are focused into artificial intelligence such as scikit-learn, TensorFlow, Keras, and more. So these were some of the basics which I learned, and if you are someone who wants to learn about artificial intelligence, then these are a must. So I learned about AI, I learned about deep neural networks, then I learned about convolutional neural networks. You can see this is a diagram of convolutional neural networks, and I was just learning, and I was learning how to train models to recognize images, and I was really getting bored, because I was just reading and I was just doing these courses. So what I did, I thought that, okay, what I'll do, I'll apply all my knowledge to solve some real world problems. So this happened. I was in my hospital and I was a part of an audit, and this audit was around the discharges from my day surgical unit. And when I audited the discharges, I found out that the discharge rate on the same day from the day surgery unit in my hospital was quite low, and there were a lot of factors around it. So I thought, what could I do to improve on these discharge percentages? And I was like, okay, I'll try to use my previous knowledge around artificial intelligence. So I built this project and it's called Using Artificial Intelligence to Predict Discharges from a Day Surgical Unit in a District Hospital. So this was a real world implication and implementation of my skills, and it was a really interesting one because it saved me from just quitting artificial intelligence because it was getting quite boring, and it was a very good project which helped me use my skills to solve some real world problems. So in 2020 and 2021, I was also quite interested in blockchain technology. A lot of people were talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I was like, I don't know what they are. So I was like, okay, I'll start learning about them. So I went to Coursera, Code Academy, did some courses. I also went to some other websites like Udemy and lots of others. And I just tried to grab more and more information about the topics. I also read a lot of articles on Medium, and I highly recommend Medium for people who want to learn about different things and new skills. And then I came across these two books, and these are by O'Reilly again, and very interesting covers again. The first one is called Mastering Ethereum. The second one is called Mastering Bitcoin. And while I was reading this book, which is Mastering Bitcoin, after like 40-50 pages, it just blew my mind. I was like, oh, this is totally different technology and this is totally revolutionary. And I think if you read both of these books, you'll realize that the cryptocurrency and the blockchain technologies, these are like really amazing inventions. And a lot of people say that these are similar to human beings discovering fire. So quite an interesting perspective. So I learned blockchain technologies, tried to build some of my own cryptocurrencies, tried to build some of my blockchains, but again, you need a proper network to do that. And I didn't have a lot of people who were in computer science who were my friends, so I couldn't make a proper blockchain. But yeah, I tried to do that. Next, I was really interested in web development. I was like, oh, I wanted to learn how the web works. So the problem with learning just one thing, which is like artificial intelligence or blockchain technology, is that you need to put these technologies to use, and you'll have to put these technologies to use on the web. So if you want to use them and you need to get some people who can use your technologies, then you'll have to learn web development. So I again went to Coursera, Code Academy, Udemy, Datacamp, pretty standard ones, and started learning web development. Web development was really interesting for me because I realized that the web was an amazing place and there was a very sophisticated architecture which was into play. For example, if you go to the Facebook website, what you see as the website is the front end of that application or the Facebook application, and it's created using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, Bootstrap, and other frameworks like Vue, Angular, React, and lots more. Then you have something which is the backend, which you don't really see, and that's where the processing happens. So if you request something from the Facebook page, if you click on someone's profile, then you make a request on the backend, and then that request goes to the backend server and it sends you that data back so that it can be visualized on the front end. And you need a lot of other computer technologies such as Ruby on Rails, Express.js, Node.js, and others to build the backend. And then you have other things like authentication, security. Then you have the database, and there are multiple types of databases where you can store the data of the users. So if you want to learn about full stack development, then you can learn a very popular development stack, which is called the MERN stack, which is MongoDB, which is a database. E is for Express.js, which is for the backend. R is React. React is a framework or library developed by Facebook. Then you have Node.js for the N, and that's again a backend computer technology. So yes, you can make all kinds of websites or applications using this MERN stack if you are really into full stack development, which is combination of front end and back end development. So what did I do after learning this full stack development? I had a problem that when a lot of doctors who are new to the UK, they are really confused what hospitals to pick, and people can't really tell you what hospitals are good because the opinions are really biased, and a lot of people are really afraid to say the truth about how the hospitals really are. So I built this full stack application which is called Appraise, and this is a place where you can rate and review the hospitals where you work, and you can do them anonymously. So all the ratings will be anonymous. You just have to sign into the page. I'm not storing any passwords. I'm just getting authentication from your Facebook, Google accounts, and then you can access this platform. You can leave your reviews there. You can read the reviews of other people, but you can do all of that anonymously. So that was one of my big full stack development project, which I just did for fun. So big question, are you missing out? And I have received a lot of questions on my Instagram page, and they reflect that people have a lot of fear of missing out. And I think you should do things because you're curious rather than just getting a perception that you're missing out on things. So a lot of big companies these days are selling this idea that coding is the future and every person who is in any profession should learn coding. And I think this is absolutely false, and this is just a selling technique so that you can just subscribe to different kind of courses. If you're not really interested in computer sciences, then you should definitely not go for it because it takes a lot of efforts. Even if you learn the basics to impress other people, it won't work out because you have lots and lots of computer technologies which are at play, and you'll have to learn all of them in a great detail if you want to build a good project. So I don't think if you are missing out if you are not doing computer sciences. It's just that if you know computer sciences and you are really interested in that, then it gives you a toolkit so that you can develop new projects on the web and you can help other people, and a lot of people can access your website or your application, and they can get some utility out of that. Remember the Dunning-Kruger effect. So this is something really interesting. So what happens is when you are in the beginning of learning something, right, and when you know just the basics of that, as you can see in this graph, your confidence level is really high. So when I started learning about artificial intelligence, data science, and web development, blockchain technology, and I just knew a bit of it, I was really confident. I used to think I know all of it. I used to think I'll make really huge scalable applications. And when I started learning more about it, my confidence just went down, and it was just according to this curve, which is the Dunning-Kruger effect curve. And this really happens. And you can see here that the confidence level of the newbie is more than the confidence level of the expert. And this graph is a really interesting one, and it applies in a lot of areas of your life, and it applies in a lot of new ventures as well. So always think about the Dunning-Kruger effect. Lastly, should you do computer science? And if you are doing computer science and learning a new skill, will you be able to do that? And there's this amazing paragraph from Naval Ravikant, and it says that it's very difficult for people to do things these days because you have to go and you have to really do things and battle against this modern struggle. And the modern struggle is lone individuals summoning inhuman willpower, fasting, meditating, and exercising up against armies of scientists and statisticians weaponizing abundant food, screens, and medicine into junk food, clickbait news, infinite porn, endless games, and addictive drugs. So yes, we are living in a world which has these modern struggles, and if you really want to learn some skills, then you'll have to find ways to battle with this struggle. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you liked this video. Click on the like button, share this video as much as possible, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you soon.